Okay, guys, we are live. It's the first session of Developer Circle Ask a Developer that we're holding it live. It's only on YouTube. I have to share the link of the YouTube to those posts that I have posted on Facebook and LinkedIn because people might be able to join if they want to. So let's start from a round of introduction. Please go ahead, guys.
All right, so I'm Gabriel. I'm a junior full stack developer. I have a pretty unusual background in that I started out as an actor, actually.
Whoa.
And then after a couple of years of acting, realized, well, surprise, surprise, it's really difficult to make a living like that.
Uh,
And as they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. My father is a programmer,
okay.
and I really got sick and tired working, menial dead-end jobs to like support myself and barely, be able to pay the rent at the end of the month. And I started self-studying online,
How long
uh,
ago?
like 2-ish years ago,
Okay.
2.5 maybe.
Okay.
And then after a couple of months, I realized I really really liked it. I really got this immense sense of like like just when I solved the problem, and I wanted to continue down that route. So I relocated here to Berlin and formally enrolled in a computer science
Yeah. Where were
degree
you living before?
in
From
London,
where you? London.
London,
Okay.
UK. Yes.
Okay. That's nice.
And yeah, and then I increasingly got frustrated with the very theoretical CS degree. I decided to focus only on the more practical courses, and then after around two years into the degree, having completed all the pretty practical and kind of like programming related courses and the systems architecture and whatnot, but skipping the super mathy theoretical ones, I decided to try out on the job market to see whether I could get an interesting job without technically graduating, and I did.
Yeah, it's
And
possible.
yeah, and I've been
So where are you
working.
working now, and what is the title or what tech stack you're using?
Um, I actually just quit the job. So I
Okay.
used to work at a prop tech startup where we were doing Ruby and React.
Okay.
We're doing Rails in the back end. Pretty standard, AWS Docker kind of
That's
setup,
good.
and React in the front end. I was kind of full stacky, but mostly toward the front end. I was probably doing 80/20, React and Ruby.
That's good.
And
That's good.
yeah, and now I'm looking to get more into backend.
Nice, nice. Are you looking for a new job or you're trying to do a startup? Therefore, you're a member of the factory?
I'm looking for like a more challenging job
I see.
because I was like a little like I need, I
Yeah,
need,
you're in the right spot.
yeah,
Berlin needs a lot of developers.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're bombarded by a lot of messages on LinkedIn from recruiters. So
I am. And I have a couple of questions actually.
sure, shoot it down after the
Yeah,
introduction round. Absolutely.
absolutely.
That's why we are here for this call.
Perfect.
Yeah, Barbara, is that?
So, yeah, I'm Barbara. I'm a junior front-end developer. So my story is I did undergraduate in Miami in biology. Then I wanted to do a master's, and since those are really expensive in the US, I came to Germany for a master's in molecular medicine. And then I learned a little bit of programming there. It wasn't something that I really took to because the concepts just weren't taught in a really good manner. So I was kind of like, well, okay, I learned a little bit, but just put it on the back burner. And then I did a year of a PhD and decided to quit that because that was horrible. And during that time, I started learning how to program for web development a little bit. And I took that knowledge that I'd learned in my master's and kind of build up on that, and just use the internet to teach myself web development and well, JavaScript mostly. And I applied for a job and I got a job. So
Congratulations. When
Yeah.
did you get it and where are you working?
I got a job. It's almost a year now. For the sake of internet anonymity, I'd rather not say where.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're working as a front-end developer.
Yeah. It's
see.
mostly mobile development using Ionic.
Ionic, like
It's a little-
the hybrid.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I see.
Yeah, so we're mostly using that, and what I do is a mix of, I guess, front end and design. So
That's
Yeah.
nice. That's
Yeah.
nice. So that's cool. Bruno, you want to
Hey.
give us an introduction?
Yeah, of course. So let me share my camera here. Hey guys.
Oh, good to see you. You look smarter than your photo.
Well, so first of all, I come from Brazil, and here things are actually quite difficult for you to get started in programming. The universities are very, very expensive, and most of the programmers are actually, they come from a technical course background. So we go through the technical, and then we pretty much just start working. And that's what my path, that was what I did. And I started working at John Deere when I was 17 years old. There was quite a bunch of experienced programmers there that I could, just get a lot of information from and a lot of mentoring. And so I started working on PHP, which sucks.
There might be a lot of PHP developers right now listening.
Oh no,
I was a PHP developer for 7 years. I understand what you mean.
I once liked PHP, but now
Yeah.
I'm saying.
I mean, everything has its time. Probably sometime people will laugh at JavaScript the way we're right now laughing at PHP.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I just like to joke though. But anyway, it got me working. I mean, it got me started on the technology field, and I'm extremely grateful for PHP because of that. Because if it weren't for PHP, I pretty much would have. I think I wouldn't have started, because PHP was very, very easy to get started, and that's one of the beautiful things about the language, and just as it is with JavaScript. And so I started on from that, and then things just took off. I started working with Node.js and Ruby on Rails right after, and then I just worked till now.
What do you do now? Like, what's the tech stack you're right now working on?
Yeah, right now I work at Smunch. It's a tech company from Berlin, and we are using mostly TypeScript with the serverless framework, and using it with AWS. It's quite a good stack. I mean, TypeScript has improved a lot of the bad code that we had previously with Node.js, and it's things are a lot safer now with TypeScript.
Absolutely.
So I absolutely love it, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. I'll keep it short about me because I might be boring a lot of people, because I will host this call every week. My name is Emil Sayer. I originally come from Afghanistan. I'm living and working in Germany for 5 years now, almost 5 years. I have a small business, and at the same time, I'm giving back to the community, to a co-working space called The Factory. I'm the co-captain of Developer Circle. This is an initiative that I took in the Developer Circle, where we try to get together as many developers as possible. And recently we thought about, why should we not run something by the name of Ask a Developer, and then anybody can ask a developer any question, either this be between developers or anybody coming from the outside world. It's the first time we are going live. Thank you so much for joining, guys. This means a lot. It's much better than zero. We hope that someday it will be a very vibrant weekly session. In last week we had like the first session, online session. It was great. We had like 3 people as well, and we had some Q&As. And I'm looking forward to see what we can do to answer any questions discussed here. Just about a bit about my technical background. I'm coding for 17 years. I'm in JavaScript for 12 years. I've led a couple of teams. I had a software company for 7 years. Now I have one in Germany for 3 years. I did a couple of startups. Most of them failed, and I've learned a lot of lessons from all those failures. So if you have any questions around startup topics that involves technology, be it from the MVP perspective, be it from the lean startup, be it from the lead generation, anything that's in the connotation of selling your product before building it, we can also have that kind of out of the development world discussions as well here, but keeping it in the core of the technology, because most of the startups that are based in the factory, I believe, are tech startups. So definitely I would love to shed some light on those things as well. And I'll also learn from our communication as well. So let's go ahead with the first questions. Gabriel, you had a question?
Yeah. So I really want to become a very quote unquote well-rounded full stack developer, in the
Okay.
sense that a couple years down the road, I want to do my own tech startup. And for that, I obviously need to be able to, I need to be good at the whole stack, obviously. Now, what is the next step for me? Is it smarter to jump straight into freelancing full time, because it really forces you to to grow super fast, and you can get to you kind of get to pick your own projects, obviously. Do I go with a web agency, with a dev shop that is working on bigger projects, but I'm a full-time employee, and I get to learn while earn. Or do I go for a high growth tech startup that's dealing with super challenging problems, the harder the better. So those are the three things I'm thinking about right now: freelancing full time, working for a high growth tech startup, or working for a web development agency.
Okay.
How do I grow the fastest?
Cool. I think I have some insights, and I openly welcome both Barbara and Bruno, you guys, also to contribute with your views. I was a teacher in a code school here in Berlin for around 10 months. It's a very nice code school. It's a pretty intensive one. It's like for 11 months. Maybe you need to think about a fourth option before I start speaking about each of these options, about teaching. Because as you said, you want to do a tech startup down the road, and you want to be like a all-rounder and know more about technology than just being on one side of it. Maybe I'm just putting teaching on one of these three options, and I'm going to speak about them, and I'm going to comment on the teaching and explain how it changed my life and how I felt in those 10 months, and and why do I have like this session. This is one of the inspirations, because it's not probably the right time, and I neither have time to run a YouTube channel. Therefore, I want to do such a session that we just casually jump on it, and then no editing needed, and therefore. So I'm going to start from teaching, okay? And then I'm going to go to freelancer agency, which I had a high growth tech startup. Ours was kind of high growth, but it never grew. So it had the potential of growth. So I'm going to share some insights from my startup and so on. Okay, so from teaching, I don't know if this is a famous quote or something that I think it's from Einstein. Please do let me know if you guys remember it correctly. It says that if you can explain something to somebody, that means you learned it. It's from one of these big guys. So I think the best way is teaching. If you really want to learn something deeply enough, then maybe do it part-time. Maybe do it as a hobby on a YouTube channel or something, and then start teaching. That would be one way to grow your capacity. Like if I would not join that coding school, today I would not be able to be expert in this one technology called React the way I am right now. Because when I joined, I was pretty much new. It was 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, and now I'm very much expert in this one field. And in the last 3 years, I've done React JS and React Native, nothing else. And maybe what I am doing might not be the right choice for you to do, because I have been through the other verticals as well, like backend, front end, little bit of DevOps lately, and so on. But that's what I'm currently doing. I'm just front end developer. Freelancing. Do you have any questions about teaching? You want to know any other insights? Any more detail? I'm moving to freelancing. So,
Please,
from teaching.
Please go ahead.
From freelancing, I am currently freelancing. I have a small agency. I'm freelancing and running the agency. The agency is not really big, but it is doing small projects once or twice a year. Not really super focus on projects, but more focus on products. I'm building a product. It's called Feedback Hero. Later, I'll leave it on the comments to people who want to check it. It's just a feedback tool where you click anywhere and then you can leave a comment on a live website and then share that permalink with somebody else so that you can have like a back and forth chat. So freelancing is a great opportunity if you have like full confidence on your skills, because when people hire freelancers, they have high expectations. They want things to be done much faster, and they want you to be like to understand what you are really good at. If you think you're really good at, let's say, React, then just go React. If you said you did Ruby 80% of the time in your last company.
80% React, 20%.
80 React, I see. So if that was 80% React is a demanding skill right now. Start from freelancing. The pay is good. You can find a lot of contracts. I can help you to forward some of the contracts that I don't do on-site. I only do remote. This is my office at home.
Yeah.
A small balcony, covered balcony, and I have it. This camera is set. I cannot turn it so I could show you the two sides, but it's a nice little office. I'm only doing online, like remote projects, so I get a lot of leads that I could forward it to you. So just let me know, ping me on Slack later on the community chat, and I'll forward you whatever I can find. But if you polish your LinkedIn profile enough, you will be searched by the recruiters. You will get some leads. Freelancing is great. The reason I recommend among the others freelancing is because then you have a choice of switching clients frequently. You will grow much faster in freelancing, but the prerequisite is that you have to be great at what you're doing. Even if you have to take 2 steps back to go for 3 steps forward, do that. Take like 3-4 months of a break. Go polish all the skills that you know that you're not good at. Take some Udemy courses. Do some personal projects. Try to like really become fluent on one technology. That's another thing I would like to recommend in freelancing is, like, if you open my LinkedIn profile, you'll see it's boldly written that I'm only interested in React. So although I know a whole lot of other technologies, but I do not want to sell those hot skills. These are my hot skills. There's like every day I read news about it. I read the tweets from the community of React. I'm super involved in this community. So whenever I go on an interview, I try to be like standing out of the crowd. Therefore, sometimes I find remote opportunities, even though it was not meant to be 100% remote. So my strong recommendation is on freelancing. Go freelancing, because you can go anytime back to job. But freelancing is right now on demand. I mean, both are on demand, job and freelancing. But with freelancing, there are two good things. One, you can earn more money than just a job. Second, you can switch companies, organizations. You get new cultures. You understand new teams. You get new tech stack. What if you land in a job that from the outside, from the interview, it looks very good, But when you go there and then you see that, oh, things are so bad, and then switching one company to other will take you at least 3 months. That's the recruitment time in Berlin. So therefore, I would suggest going for freelancing. iGrow Tech Company. This is also interesting, but please do check the company culture. Before you go somewhere, do check the company culture, how good it is. Check Glassdoor, check Kununu. These are the two websites where you can see the profiles of a company, how good they are, because people do leave reviews there. If they have a good company culture, you like the idea, you like the co-founders, they are very important, because if it's and try to join a startup in as early stage as possible. But you see there is a growth, they have secured a round, let's say, or a seed round, enough seed round that they can go at least for 2 years or 1.5 years. And also the technology stack is very good. Don't go something like Bruno earlier cracked the joke like PHP. Otherwise, you won't have room to grow. Go somewhere where it's like TypeScript, React, React.js, React Native, and also like Jest, Cypress, and I don't know what are the other vibes. Like they use hooks, like pre-commit hooks and so on. So whatever you feel that is like the tech stack you want to do it every day, go there. And also like the TDD is another vibe. People do that, and if that is going somewhere and you like to go in that direction, try to see that. Definitely, this is not a lot. You have limited numbers. iGrow startups, they're not so many. In the agency option, I understand why you have it as an option, because agency is kind of a freelancer in save mode, because you have this option of switching projects, because agency works for multiple companies, and then you get to work on multiple tech stacks, multiple clients, and at the same time you are safe from the salary perspective. But personally, as I was an entrepreneur for like 10 years, this cannot be an option for me personally. And therefore I do not recommend it personally as well, especially considering the fact that you want to do a startup yourself. So freelancing is a pre-entrepreneurship step for you. It's a self-employment. You have to fill the hours, otherwise you don't get paid and things like that.
Yeah.
So that was a boring long talk from my side on these things. Sorry it took longer.
No, not at all. Not at all. I wanted you to finish. Okay. So sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like I would, according to what you just said, I would maximize my growth and my learning by combining freelancing and teaching, right?
That is well said. I did not mean that, but that's a good idea as well. Like do freelancing, maybe do like 40 hours if you're like workaholic as I am. If you work like 60 hours a week, then do that. Part-time teaching and full-time freelancing, or maybe do 30 hours freelancing and like 10, 20 hours teaching. I mean, that's even a better option. That's even a better option.
I mean, as you said, with teaching, that's really flexible. Yes, teaching could mean like teaching at a boot camp, but it could also mean like, I don't know, a YouTube channel or a blog. Yep.
I mean, if you want to teach in a boot camp, also do send me a message on Slack. I know some boot camps. I don't like to call people student of mine, but somebody who was studying in my class is now a teacher assistant in a code school. I can connect you guys, and then maybe because he's also teaching part-time, and then maybe he can help.
Okay, so that was a really well thought out answer. Just one question. So freelancing versus a startup, the working for a startup, then the downsides of working for a startup would be that if it's hit or miss, right? If the culture is great, then you get like the mentorship, like people will pull you up, like they'll help you out. But they might be really good at selling themselves to you, and then 3 months down the line, you're like, and then it's kind of like, do I quit after 6 months again, or do I stick it out for a year? And then it's like, whereas with freelancing, it's like, I mean, even if you have a shitty project, it's like, I don't know, it's like 2-3 months, and then on to the next project. Okay.
Absolutely. And also, like, for you being in the tech industry, like, only for 2 years, if you keep switching companies as an employee frequently, that's going to ruin your CV. And that will be asked during interviews, that why did you switch after 4 months? Did you not make it through the probationary period? They will think it from that perspective, but in reality, that might be that you had a douchebag boss and you hated him and you didn't want to ruin the rest of your life, and you quit the job. So therefore, I think it makes sense to do it that way.
Yeah. Wow. Honestly, especially, I know there's a meeting 2 days from now also. I'll be there also. So then we can meet in person.
Oh, I see you're joining the Flutter versus React Native.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Yes, let's see. There we can have more chat about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Think about it. Sleep over it. I don't know if you know German, but Germans said "Schlaf drüber." That means sleep over it. And then let's have a consequent conversation about it, and let me see.
Absolutely. For now, thank you so much for answering my question.
You're welcome.
And I think Barbara, you have a question as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a much lighter question, I guess. I just wanted to ask, how do you keep up to date with current technologies? Because I find that with my day job, like, a lot of the times I feel like, okay, do I really want to just know this one technology, and when it eventually becomes irrelevant, like, I'm going to be behind? But there are so many technologies coming up, every day, that I don't even know where to start. So how do you pick like how to study? Or
that's a very good question. Maybe let's give that to Bruno. Bruno is also a good developer. I know him personally from a client. So that he also participates, and then I will answer that question. I have a very good answer for that, because my wife did not join technology. After like 6-7 years, she finally said, yes, I'm going to join. And I'm going to quote that, a real life example. So Bruno, what do you say? How do you keep yourself updated?
Well, that's I think the $1 million question, right? I mean, it's very, very complicated to do that nowadays. Even
because
of
the massive information on the internet. Therefore,
exactly. Even if you specialize in a very, very specific field, even though it's very, very hard. Like, I try to be more backend, but even though just trying to be a backend developer, there's just so much stuff. I mean, it was the other day I was learning Go, and now there are things that are better than Go to do what I was doing with Go, and then you just keep trying to understand what's going on. And additionally, there are all sorts of things on the JavaScript and Node side coming up. There's always a new release. There's always a new runtime. Like, there's Dino right now, which is a TypeScript runtime for Node. And yeah, what I do personally is just to reserve like 2 or 3 hours a week to go over all of the mail lists and all of the articles that I've been reselecting through the week, and then I just read a lot and just try to understand what's the state of the technologies that I work on, like Node, Go, TypeScript, and so on and so forth. It's not an easy job, because even though I do that, sometimes I feel like I'm way behind. Like, it's very difficult to catch up. But I think that in this case, it's just plain old discipline of reading as much as you can, at least 3 to 5 hours a week of new stuff, and trying to keep up.
Okay.
So absolutely, I agree with that. If I relate to a story, I was just thinking when Bruno was talking, it was probably 2004 or 5. I was working in the Ministry of Public Health as web manager, Ministry of Public Health of Afghanistan, as web manager. And I had a senior. I asked them, what should I learn? At the time, by the way, the tech stack I was working on was ASP 3.0. It was not ASP.NET. It was ASP 3.0, and it was Microsoft Access for the backend. That naive. And the JavaScript I was using was vanilla JavaScript, just for farm validation probably. I don't even remember, or maybe adding or removing a menu item or something. And I asked him, what should I learn? What is new? And he said, there's a new library called jQuery, learn that. So I started learning that, and I do not regret. I did that, I did it very well, and then I did some very big projects using jQuery for the Ministry of Finance and things like that. But if I tell you, like, I always have a fresh example. Like, for example, when hooks, React hooks, you guys may know, was out there, it took me it's not like bragging about it, but it took me the passion to just go there and then watch the keynote when they were announcing it. During the keynote, when Dan Abramov gave the examples. After that, when I tried a few examples and then I watched a few tutorials on YouTube, then it was all done. And now we only do hooks in all the projects. Now, this is just a fresh example. But if we go back like 3-4 years ago, it was actually 4 years ago when I started React, because I was still doing it for my startup. I did a startup, which was like maybe a few words, because I said it was growable or it was scalable. It was a pair programming on demand platform, so that whenever you would get stuck in coding, you could click a button and then somebody would come online on a video chat and screen sharing and help you on a business model of €1 or $1 per minute. But anyways, that's a long story why it failed and how could we have done it differently that would make the ground a bit more fertile so that we could succeed. But anyways, so then it was my first time encountering with React, and I was like a developer who was more good in jQuery, JavaScript, Angular, even Backbone, JS. I did some of that, and then starting React was a little bit difficult for me because I didn't have this idea of virtual DOM, or this idea of Flux, the way Redux worked, especially observing Redux. So it was like, for me, somebody who had like at the time 13 years of experience still had problems in understanding and learning it. But what I did, as Bruno explained, I studied a lot. I bought a few very good Udemy courses. I watched it throughout, like probably at 2 or 3x speed. But eventually it kind of fit into place. And then I worked. So whenever you want to keep up, try to slice it in small chunks, and then work on it throughout the week. Otherwise, you cannot pile it up and then do it in a weekend. Otherwise, it gets really boring.
Yeah.
Try to do a small project that you do it across 2 weeks, so that you do it like 20 minutes every day or every second day for half an hour or 1 hour. About my wife, I would like to, unfortunately, maybe she's not really prepared for joining this call. Maybe next week she has to join and ask a question, actually. I should encourage her. She just started learning coding like 5-6 months ago, and she's really good. She just finished Redux, so she's good junior React Redux developer, just front end. And the reason that she did not want to start technology was she's coming from financial accounting background. So she had this exact excuse that it's super fast changing industry. So I don't want to learn something today and then I don't have to use it tomorrow. And then when she kind of witnessed that the stuff I knew was outdated, and then during the job I learned it, and now I'm having that hot skills that is like the demand for the market. And then she somehow got convinced that yes, it's possible. You can do it. Uh, but it's true also for any other field. If you're a good psychologist, you need to know the new research around that.
Yeah.
If you're a good civil engineer, you need to learn and build your capacity. So yeah, therefore I think it's true for all the fields, but for this field it's very important. But keep it like as a ritual that you do it every day or every second day, and then you'll get into a good level.
Thank you so much, guys. Those are both really good answers.
Cool. Also, if I may add, I think that it's always good to go back to the fundamentals every once and again, because as of the case of React and many other libraries, they are just using a lot of concepts that we read some time before, and then we can just by knowing the concept, you can just this is it, this is what this library is all about. This is what React's all about. For instance, and I think that learning the concepts and the basic CS fundamentals, I think, really helped me. Even though I don't have a CS background, every now and again I just go back to learning algorithms and things like that. It really helps. It really does.
Absolutely, and then it becomes like like bricks on the top of one another, and you just grasp it very quickly because you kind of grow with it. Cool.
Thank you,
It was
guys.
a great session.
Yeah.
I was afraid. I think I'm not a camera shy. Why? So we are gonna do it live again next week at the same time.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. Any other
Yeah.
questions? Just drop us a message, and then we can tackle it next week, or you can appear on the call, and then we can do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
And,
so much, guys.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Spread
Thank
the
you.
word.
You're welcome.
Yeah.